Welcome back to Gadabud. We are on the Shinra 8 on the way to Corel, and this is my spoiler-free completionist guide to the Corel region part 1. There is so much to do in the Corel region. The time I've spent here basically equals the amount of time I've spent everywhere else in the game combined plus some. There's so many mini games, so much story, so much content, and I'm going to break all of it down, make sure you don't miss a thing, and by the end of this, you will have roughly 39 things in Johnny's treasure trove as well. But if you are a little up or down on that number, don't worry, there's plenty of time to correct course in the long term. If you're still on the boat though, don't miss this weapon crate. I will not be covering the story stuff because this is spoiler free, but these are the Kaiser Knuckles for Tifa. When you first arrive, you can't just run out into the region. You have to progress in the story first. And I'm not covering story on this channel yet because we are in spoiler-free mode right now. To progress in the story, you have to do a bunch of mini games so that you can buy your swimsuits. And if you want to get a platinum trophy, the general rule of thumb on a mini game is if it has a ranking, you need to get the max rank and the max reward possible. Now, you're going to have to do this eventually anyway, so you might as well do this now and get the rewards and not be hating yourself later with just a laundry list of stuff to do. These are all the mini games for before you go on the beach. The first edition of Pirates Rampage is really easy because you do not have any accuracy requirements, therefore you can just be as trigger happy as you please. The one thing I do recommend though is pressing R1 to set your aim speed at the fastest speed. Because you're trigger happy, you just want to spray everywhere you can as quickly as you can. Because of the lack of accuracy requirements and the relative ease to hit 1500, I did not really do a structured sequence of shots. Spoiler alert, there's a sequel to this that does have an accuracy check that you'll play a little later in this video. So if you want to practice like there is one, that's not necessarily a bad thing here. If all else fails, just do exactly what I did and you'll be fine here. In addition to the Pirates Rampage, there is a Queen's Blood challenge for Cloud as well, which these are the solutions. You want to start with the Fleet Wing, cause the top left to become double pawned, and then place your Zoo here, giving you a +1 advantage, and then Quetz right here, giving you an advantage here. 5 is more than 4. Congratulations. The second puzzle, a little tougher. Like I said, you want to read the card abilities. So you get a +3 here. The logical first thing, I think the only thing you can do is start with Large Chocobo, then drop this one right here, and then go all out on this row. You're going to end with 17 because of the +3. Now this is where the solutions start to get a little nutty and fun. You want to start with the Moogle Trio right here. And that immediately gives you these 2 cards. And you want to read the abilities on these things. So the Moogle Bard, not the Google Bard, you want affecting your side. You want the Moogle Mage. The Moogle Mage, no question, goes here. You place this one here, and then cash in your +4 total right there. And then you need to seize this lower row with the wolf. And the wolf is there just for the points. Yeah, this is what you want. You want to start with the Spearhawk here. Spearhawk that. Drop Quetz here. Cactuar there. Seize victory. You need to start with this and make these triple pawns, sacrificing. Then these guys +1 every time you draw and play a card. So get them out immediately. And then your Mandragoras, you go ahead and place one here, but it's going to add a minion to the hand. So +2. And that 1 point up there was actually important. And now it doesn't matter where you place these. Another +2. Got another card. But we're going to get another card from this one. That's a victory. This one is surprisingly easy if you read the cards. So you would think that, oh, I see 3s up here and the Archdragon's lower by 3. No. You actually want to hit these because the Queen Bees right here are going to drop to 1. So then that makes this row only 2. You eliminate this row. And then you can place Quetz right here to steal this row. And then 9 is more than 4. I saved this one for last. It is the hardest. It took me a lot of tinkering to really iron this one out. And it starts to make sense, but we want to put our Tonberry King in harm's way right here. And then we start dropping Death Wheels. Those Grenaders blow up. then we want to blow them up with the Mind Flare. And then 16 is more than 14. At this point, you have control of Aerith and Tifa, and this is Red 13's first edition of the minigame Run Wild, which is ironically the harder edition. Don't forget to look at the controls here. You press square to shoot hard, you press X to lob over somebody's head, and you can even jump if you're trying to guard the goal against a lob, but I don't use jump. What's difficult about this, though, is you have to defend your own goal while helping score other goals as well on the other NPCs. This is really easy to do in the first minute because there's only one ball in play, so you can basically play defense by having a really good offense and just dominating the field. The Chocobo is the hardest to score in the first minute. It feels like its defense is just out of this world and it's not really playing offense, but when that second ball drops, there's only one Chocobo, so you can shoot one in very easily, take advantage of that opportunity. I personally would try to strike a balance between scoring on a good opportunity and also targeting opponents that have the higher scores to bring them down lower. You need to get first place here uncontested, which means tying for first isn't good enough, and it might take you a couple tries, but this really isn't that bad. Once you have a lead over the other three teams, you can do one of two things. You can go and try and play goalie, which I attempted to do here, but it didn't go well, or you can just keep running up the score and say the best defense is good offense. If you do goalie, this is the one time where using the L2 jump button is a good idea in case somebody tries to do a lob shot on you. Honestly though, with as little practice as you get playing goalie, you might as well just keep scoring, because I tried to play goalie and it just didn't work. And so I just went back to scoring and won that way. Anyways, best of luck here. There is some randomness in this because you're facing off against opponents. So if you lose, just try again. You might end up just getting lucky and winning with no skill at all. Who knows? One ticket that's pretty much a gimme based on how poorly I did here is the piano in the hotel. You have to play one song and you will get your ticket, and I will cover all of the piano songs in a later video where I actually try to do well on them. One of the tickets you get from the Tifa and Aerith part is from returning every one of the scooters to the corresponding color lot. Just if you see a scooter, check your map for the corresponding lot and take it there while you're doing all of the rest of this stuff. If you finish everything up and you're still missing a couple scooters, just take a few laps. There's so many out there in so many locations. They're really hard to miss. Additionally, there is a requirement for distance traveled, and I just go do laps on the Shinra 8 dock past the helipad, and you will rack up your meters very quickly there.
Over here. We brought all the wheelies back for you.
One of the objectives you have to do is take photos of 4 hidden Cactuars, and these are the 4 locations of those Cactuars. The good part about this is the piece of paper with the map with their hints is not misleading at all. The map of Costa del Sol looks very accurate. So if you just follow along, I start at the top right of the map and then head south from there. The final picture is the one on the west side of the card. And again, when you see scooters, just grab them and take them to the lot that they're supposed to go to. After you have all 4 of your tickets, it's time to go to the beach and conclude the Costa del Sol main story stuff and unlock traveling around this region. Once reaching the main scenario toward Mount Corel, we finally get the ability to travel around the Corel region freely, but with a caveat. We will not have full access to this region, much like I suspected, because of the way the original Final Fantasy VII was. You have to go through Mount Corel and do a bunch of other story stuff first. But that doesn't mean we can't knock some stuff out, and you'll be better off for it if you go ahead and get it done. At the tip board, we start with 2 available quests. We have the Johnny quest, which is hilarious. I highly recommend that. And then we have the Rendezvous in Costa del Sol, and this is going to get us doing more mini games again, and they are platinum trophy requirements. So you're not done with mini games in Costa del Sol. Let's start with the mini games before we do the exploration. Before we step out of the city, we're going to hit up the tip board and we're going to do one more quest, the Rendezvous at Costa del Sol. We are not going to start the Johnny quest just yet, but we are going to do this one. To get going on this quest, you talk to these 3 ladies on the stage on the beach. I'm going to skip all of the quest dialogue and everything and get straight to the point where you are doing mini games, and this is the easier one first. By far the easier of the 2 minigames is the second iteration of Run Wild, where it is you against the clock. The key here is you have a certain color ball objective in the top right, and you need to find that colored ball and score it on the matching colored goal. The first 4 are basically gimmies that you can shoot from across the field if you can make them, and then you will have to start incorporating lob shots to get over obstructions. But this is a simple race against the clock, and it is very forgiving, and you should have no problem hitting the target of 2 minutes and 30 seconds for the top prize here. I missed it by a second in my initial attempt when I didn't even realize that there was a specific color for each goal, if that tells you anything. Now for the hard one. The Pirate Rampage is back, and there is an accuracy requirement now. And this is, I would say, the second hardest minigame in the game that I have encountered so far. You really need to try not to miss any of the stationary targets. You need to be patient and know when they stop, let them stop, and then take your shot there when you're sure that you're going to make it. Round 2 actually has a really big impact on whether or not I succeed because of the sequence of 2 falling sets of enemies. If you can hit 3 out of 5 the 2 times that happens, that's good. If you can do better than that, that's great, and that's what happened here. And then towards the end, the Cactuar on the far right side is absolutely essential. Don't forget to hit that. On part 3, I originally tried to just forget the golds and try to defeat as many of them as possible. That's just bad math. Go for the golds and try to get them. The first gold is always in the top right, and they follow the same order every time, and once you kind of get it down, like, you're gonna miss a couple along the way, but try to get those. At the end, there's a moving Cactuar, and this is a very nice bonus to get you to success as well. And I hit it here. This part's really simple. You just want to break the big Malboro boards that are blocked by the ghost boards. Once the Malboro is defeated, it will spawn 3 to 5 golden targets, and those targets will be there until the clock hits 0, and you only have a finite amount of time to get each Malboro, so I would prioritize the Malboros, but I would also not leave a lot of gold on the board. There's so many points on the board here that if you made a couple mistakes leading up to here, if you hit most of the golds, you can overcome a deficit. This took me like 10 tries, and I followed the same sequence of targets every time, and it just was a matter of execution. If you make your shots, you're going to win. If you miss, you're going to lose. You're actually going to end this quest by exiting the city for the first time and doing some chocobo digging. You're looking for 3 seashells, and then we are going to formally kick off our Costa del Sol area exploration. Upon completion of the Rendezvous quest, we can go to the tip board and we can accept a 3rd quest now, Bodybuilders in a Bind, and this ended up getting its own video, but I'm going to touch on it briefly here. Let's start the Johnny quest before we exit the city, though. You can also talk to Snaps while you're at Johnny's Inn as well. It's time to take our first steps out of the city, and I was so excited to get out there and find the chocobo that I ran right past the chocobo. You just go here, and you need to buy a Rent a Bird membership.
Thank you! I've registered your information.
And now you have your chocobo. That was easy. Don't forget to do that. This is the explorable area before you ascend Mount Corel. Right here is going to be a water barrier that you can't swim across. And then all around here is going to be elevation barriers that you can't climb. So I tried getting out of here every spot possible. It just, you gotta climb the mountain. So we have 1 tower. You need to get these 2 life springs. They're really important because they will unlock the excavation. You're going to need that for Johnny's quest. You're going to be able to unlock 1 Chadley battle by defeating these 2 Fiend Intels. Here's your other tower right here. You get access to 1 Divine Intel with Alexander. I'm going to do the rest of that later. We get a Moogle Intel for a Moogle Emporium, and you can buy 2 more books there. And then the excavation that's unlocked, this is very important. You need to do this to be able to finish Johnny's quest. And then, other than that, we've got a Snaps picture here if you talk to Snaps. Couple of treasure places that I need to finish before I head out of here. But this whole thing shouldn't take you long if you don't start the sit-up stuff, but I recommend you do that, unfortunately, and we will get to that. Head to the Costa Falls and talk to Johnny, and we are going to start exploring the region and collecting some parts for Johnny. These are the locations that you're looking for. Basically, each zip line around this area has one of the recovered materials. So hit these 8 zip lines and you will be 8 out of 8 on items. As you go further south in the region, you'll get to Jules's gym right here, and you can start the Bodybuilders in a Bind quest. This quest starts simple, and this is all I'm going to address in this video right now, because Jules ended up getting a video solo, and it's because it's like one of the hardest mini games, if not the hardest in this game, and it just deserved its own video. But you basically, to complete this quest, run around and defeat these fiend groups right here. The one that I just passed as well. There's another group on the hill approaching upward, and then the final group can be seen over here. So, for anything more about Jules, check out my Crunch Off video, and good luck. When you feel like you are ready, it's time to climb the mountain, but before you do, be cautioned that you will not be able to come back here for a couple of hours worth of story content. I will, however, be touching on items of interest in a spoiler-free manner as we climb the mountain and go to the next town. You see a bench when you start ascending this mountain and potion store and whatnot. Don't miss this weapon crate right here. Wizard's Rod for Aaron. Oh, and what do we have here? We got Enervation Materia. What is that? Ooh, I like that. That's awesome. And looks like Yuffie has one already. And then right here is an MP Up Materia as you continue up the mountain. In this little overlook area. Kind of surprised me. I was collecting materials, so I didn't get a recording of me picking it up. Way later in the Mount Corel process, when you take control of Yuffie, you can't miss this either. It's our first Yuffie weapon, the Twin Viper. Once you get down to the ground level of the coal mines, I found another purple chest, and we have a new weapon for Barrett, the Barrage Blaster, so don't miss that. Welcome to North Corel. I'm still spoiler free, but I will say the one area of interest here with optional content is at the doctor's office. We have a quest here. Do it. In the miner's quarters, there is some materia to be had. Ooh, our first revive materia. That's actually a really big deal. I highly recommend the quest of Robed Men and Ransoms, because you're going to end up in a cave right here, and you can't miss this purple chest. And we have a new red weapon, an Amethyst Collar, which is really fitting because this is a red-centric quest, so that makes sense. Later on in that exact same cave in a larger room, we have a somewhat missable materia, binding materia. If you try to do any exploring after that quest, you can't. The only other way to go is blocked by the same water sticks again. I had every intention of ignoring the piano minigame, but the perfectionist in me just simply wouldn't allow it. So before I exit this region, the very last thing I did, even after making part 2 of this video, was do the pianos. And there's 3 songs. If you get an A rank with Dorian, you can get these 3 materia, and it's just one of those things where your first attempt's going to go bad, and you just want to get a little better each time. And I'd say about an hour of playing piano resulted in me getting A rank on these 3 songs. On Our Way comes from Junon, I believe, in the Fisherman Village. And then Tifa's theme we encountered earlier in this video, where I put up an atrocious score. And then Barrett's theme comes from right here in North Corel. So good luck with that. I'm going to do a separate video on the pianos, though. Don't let this hold you up. If you like it, if it's your thing, definitely do it. Personally, not my thing, but I'm going to do it too. And I leave you here for part 1 of the Corel region. Part 2, including the gold saucer and everything else we can do in this visit to Corel, will come in the next video. That will drop in the next couple days. Until then, thank you so much for watching. I could not appreciate you more. And if you haven't clicked that subscribe button, it would mean a lot to me if you did that. I'm very close to getting monetized if y'all click that button. Thank you so much.